Possibilities podcast. I'm Nikki, and this is a podcast all about knitting, crochet, and making all the things here in East London. You can find me on Instagram at hippie_Nikki. I'm Nikki Hippie on Ravelry, and if you search for Tea and Possibilities under the groups tab on Ravelry, you will be able to find our group right there. I post quick links to everything I mention in the show just down in the box below, but if you would like more detailed show notes, you can find those on my blog. A link to that will also be below as well. As always, I would like to kick off the show by saying a massive welcome to any new viewers. Thank you so much for giving the podcast a shot. I really do appreciate it. And of course, to my returning viewers, thank you. An extra special big thank you because you did have to wait a while for this episode, and quite a lot of you messaged me while I've been kind of on sick leave. So I really appreciate that, and thank you so much for your support. It is just so lovely of you. Today's tea is a green tea with mint, and this was actually sent to me by my lovely pen pal Rachel of the Crafty Historian podcast. Green tea is, as I've said before, one of my favourites. I drink a lot of it throughout the summer just because it's a little bit lighter, and I love mint tea, but I usually only have mint tea after I've eaten, so this would be an unusual combination for me. That is really lovely. It's nowhere near as minty as I thought it was going to be, but the mint kind of cuts through the bitterness of the green tea. I don't brew my green tea for very long because I don't like it too dark and too bitter, and this is just really light and fresh. It's lovely. It actually goes really well with today. Yesterday was really grey and gloomy and rained quite a lot, not that I had to go out in it, but today is beautiful. It's so sunny, it's cold, but it's sunny and crisp and just beautiful out. I'm actually looking forward to running my errands later, and this tea matches quite well. So thank you, Rachel, it's delicious. So as I alluded to at the beginning there, it has been a little while since I podcasted. I did want to podcast the weekend before my surgery, but unfortunately there were lots of things I kind of needed to do before I was going to be completely out of action. I say needed, it was more of a thing that I was like, I know I will be anxious if I don't do these things. So I just got them all done, and I just didn't have the time to squeeze in filming and editing. So I fully planned to film the weekend after. My surgery was on the Monday, and I was like, I'll be fine on the Saturday, I'll podcast. I was fine, to be fair. I just didn't feel up to it. I was still kind of at the point where every little thing that I did, I needed to go for a nap. So I just wasn't feeling up to kind of the Herculean task of filming and then the edit process, which can take a few hours, and I just decided to not really, and spent more time resting. And this past week, which is week 2, I have felt really good, so I think I made the right decision, and I'm here now. I will talk a little bit more about what I've been up to on my sick leave, how I've been recovering, etc. In Knit and Natter. So if you are interested, do just stick around for Knit and Natter. And in the meantime, let's get on with Whipped Up. Now I have a bit of a confession to make. I have a lot of faux to show you. I have been sitting on my bum a lot, so I haven't had much else to do but knit. So I have a lot of faux. However, 2 of those have already been gifted, and so I don't have them here to show you. Now, before I sent them off, I took some video of them so that I would be able to just drop it into the episode. And it transpires when I was setting up today that I didn't use my memory card to do that. So no idea where the memory card is. I'm sure it's somewhere very safe, but where it is, I don't know. So yeah, a couple of them, there might not be film for it, but I do have pictures, so I will insert pictures if I can't find the memory card. I was really proud of myself for kind of laying it all out. I was still in my PJs when I did this, and I felt really proud of myself for doing it. Like, yes, this is brilliant. And then as soon as I'd done it, I boxed it up and I got it ready for Rich to take to the post office. And of course, I've just then, in a kind of fugue state, I've just put this memory card away. Don't know where. I'm sure it'll turn up once I've uploaded this to YouTube. So I just wanted to give you a little heads up there. But let's look at some faux. So the first faux that I wanted to talk about was one that I showed you on the last episode, episode 50. And it was the little pumpkin hat. Now, if you remember, back then it was about this big. It was not finished at all. That is now finished. I think I said in that episode that it was for Katie of Inside Number 23, who is expecting her little one. And it has now been posted to her. So I will insert either a film, either footage or a picture here to show you what it looks like finished. This is by Vicky Bird Designs. The pattern is called Harvest's Bounty, and I knit this in Debbie Bliss Rialto DK in the coral and the basil colourway. The coral is the orange. I personally think of coral as a bit more pink. This definitely was quite an accurate pumpkin colour for me, so I'm not sure why it's called coral, because, you know, I think we all interpret colours differently, particularly when they're kind of on the edge of a spectrum and not like firmly in the middle. But for me, this was definitely the more orange end of the coral, so shall we say. I loved this pattern. It was really easy to knit. I was knitting away on it on the tube, on my lunch breaks. The finishing with the leaves and the vines was really simple, so I can't recommend the pattern highly enough. In fact, I loved that pattern so much, I knit another of her little hats. This is, again, by Vicky Bird Designs, and this is called An Apple for Teacher, and this is, as you can see, an apple hat. I also knit this in Rialto DK. I had tons of the basil left, so I just got a new ball of red. This is the scarlet, and it's just gorgeous. This I knit actually on my, was it the day after my surgery or the day after that? The first day I felt up to doing stuff, I knit this all in one day, which is not hard because it's the newborn size. It's just stockinette with some really simple decreases and a little leafy top. This is absolutely gorgeous and I just love it so much. It turns out that my baby knitting is not finished because my cousin is having a baby, so it'd be my nan's first great-grandchild, and so I'm knitting a few little bits for him and his partner. And this is the first. And I decided that the apple would be perfect because I believe they're due in May, or is it March? It begins with an M, and I remember thinking it was kind of spring, early summertime, so an apple would be more appropriate than a pumpkin, which is why I got this pattern and didn't do the pumpkin again. So there you go, that's two little hats that are finished. As I say, I would highly recommend the patterns. Really, really simple, so quick, and I think they look really effective. I did get a comment on the last episode, and I can't remember your name, I'm really sorry, who said that the Rialto DK does grow a lot when it's blocked. And to be honest, because they're baby hats, I didn't swatch and I didn't block them. My thinking being with hats, I only ever really block them if there is like a lacy or a cabley pattern that I really want to pop, because otherwise I just think my head's gonna do the job. I'm a little bit lazy like that. And I think if, you know, they do get washed and worn a lot, that's going to be fine because obviously I've knit the newborn size. So if it grows a bit, that's almost a bonus. So thank you for the heads up on that. I think if it had been an adult hat, I would have been a little bit annoyed. I would have kicked myself a little bit for not swatching and blocking my swatch. But I feel like, yeah, I feel like that's going to be okay because it's a baby knit and babies, or so I am told, grow quite quickly. While we are on the theme of baby knits, I have something here that I finished last night. So please forgive the fact that none of the ends are woven in. It was quite late last night and I just didn't have the brain space. But look how tiny it is. That's so adorable. This is the Baby Vertebrae by Kelly Van Niekerk. I really hope that I've pronounced that correctly. I'm really sorry if I haven't. But this is kind of the standard issue baby knit, I think. Like, so many people have knit this and I can see why, because I knit this originally in about 5 days, and then it ended up being 7. I'll come to that. This is also for my cousin's baby. I knit this out of Paint Box Yarn's Baby DK in the Pillar Red colourway, and I knit the 6 month to a year size, purely because, as I said before, babies grow, and I figured, you know, they could wear this at under 6 months and it could just kind of like be a little bit more snuggly and crossed over the chest, and then it would kind of last a lot longer. I originally got it in red to match the little hat, and I think they do look really, really nice together. But as I was knitting it, and I think because of the time of year we're in, I realised it's actually quite jolly. So it's actually almost like a little Christmassy jumper, and I guess by the time they're 6 months plus, it's going to be getting on for like autumn, winter, Christmas time. So maybe that's, you know, quite appropriate. The Baby DK, it is an acrylic, and I ummed and ahed about this because obviously I did get Rialto DK for the hat, and I thought I could get more of that to make the little cardigan, but they aren't knitters, and they both work quite a lot, and I didn't want to give them something that would be a lot of care. So I figured this, I know, will be able to go into the wash. It will last for ages. It could probably get passed around. Also, because it's made out of acrylic, I am hoping that it will get a lot of wear, not just with this baby, but with any future babies they have, maybe with other great-grandchildren that my nan has. She does have 4 grandchildren. 3 of us are kind of adults. I say kind of. We definitely are. We're all like 20 plus. And the youngest is 6. So, you know, between the 3 of us, I think this could see a lot of babies one day. I am kind of feeling like maybe I should take a step back from knitting with acrylic, because I am trying to reduce my plastic consumption, which is a lot harder than it sounds. But I just didn't know what else to do with this. I'm not really sure what to do when people, you know, aren't knitters, and I want to give them something that is potentially going to need a lot of wash and wear, because it is a baby, and I didn't want to make it something difficult, something they could potentially ruin and be really upset about, you know, just by putting it in the wrong setting on the washing machine. So any tips? Would superwash be a better option going forward, do you think? I'm not sure. Now, the one issue I had with this knit, which has nothing to do with the pattern and everything to do with me, was the body band ribbing. I originally finished this on Wednesday, and then I cast it off, and I think I did post it on my Instagram stories. This side was kind of really rippled up because when I counted, I had done about half the amount of stitches on this side than on this side. So I picked up something like 40 something here and 80 something here. Why it didn't occur to me to count before I started knitting, or to check or put it on waste yarn to check that it all was laying flat or anything like that, I want to say I don't know, but I do know. And the reason for that is that I picked up the stitches while watching Bake Off. I just wasn't paying attention. And then I was just blithely knitting away, not even thinking about it, and when it was cast off, I was so disappointed, because apart from there potentially, I actually think this side was flared a little bit as well, so I think I picked up maybe 5 to 10 too many on this side, and I definitely didn't pick up enough on this side. And I had the little notches at the bottom, and I have a small one here, which I can definitely correct when I weave in the end. But I had like quite a big step on the bottom of each one. So I did some Googling, and I found an amazing video that I followed for how to pick up stitches perfectly. I will link that down below and in the show notes, because it was really, really good, and I can't recommend it enough. And I am so happy with how it looks now. I think it looks really, really lovely. It's really cozy, and I'm kind of thinking I want one. I was looking at the mama vertebrae and thinking, I really like a long cardigan. I never do my cardigans up. I like them just as like a layering piece or an extra little bit of warmth. I mean, this is a commercial bought cardigan from Fat Face, I think. It's kind of a waterfall style, and when I'm a bit chilly, I pull it round me, but that's about as much closure as I ever do. So I'm thinking I might knit myself a mama vertebrae, because I think it would be a really, really good addition to my wardrobe. And I'm just trying to think whether I would knit it in like a spruce green, because I think a dark enough green is almost a neutral, or like a gingery spicy brown. One of those two, maybe both. So I'm kind of thinking what yarn I would use. Would I do contrast, ribbing? I'm not sure yet. It's very early stages, but it is ticking away in the back of my head. This was such an easy knit. It's obviously not going to be as quick to make an adult sized one, but I just love it so much, and I think I need one. One thing I will say, I ordered 4 skeins of the baby DK. They are 50 gram skeins, and I believe the pattern called for up to 2 skeins of 100 grams, so 200 grams, for the larger sizes, which is what I was planning to do. And I actually have 2 whole skeins left, and this is what I have left from the second skein. So I only used up 1 whole skein. It's in 2 balls because this is actually what I ripped out from the ribbing, and I didn't want to have to join to do, because I knew I was going to need a little bit more to do the ribbing correctly. But I think out of this I might make some little matching booties. I might use the leaf pattern from the Vicky Bird hats to add little like leaves to the sides of the little booties, so they can be a bit sort of elfin and cute. So that will use up that, hopefully. And then I think I'm going to give this to my nan. It's so soft, it's nice and Christmassy. She does love Christmas. And I think she would really enjoy working with it. And I know that she wants a pair of like wristers for around the house. So I asked if she wanted it, and she said yes, and that's what she's going to knit herself out of that. Now the very last bow that I have is a pretty big one. I had this already started in the last episode. So the pumpkin hat and this one you'd already kind of seen the genesis of. And this is the Be My Baby blanket by Rebecca Parker. I knit this in Paint Box Yarns Cotton DK, and I think I used 5 different colours, I think. So there was like 2 shades of yellow, buttercup and daffodil, I think, and then a champagne white, and then a slate grey and a stormy grey. So yeah, 5 colours. And back in episode 50, I was slogging my way through those hexagons, and they were pretty ideal for just, you know, waiting and commuting and lunch breaks, because I was just kind of churning them out. And I did finish them. And the weekend before my surgery, I dedicated myself to getting that blanket finished. And I pretty much got all of the hexagons joined, and then all I had to do was weave in the ends and make the little flowers and bees and attach them. That's all I had to do while I was off sick. And I will say that the joining felt like it took longer than the actual hexagons. Obviously it didn't. But the thing with joining is that you join horizontally, and then because they're not square, you can't just then do a vertical join. You have to kind of go that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. And I was very good when I started, and I weaved in every end as I went. And then about halfway through, I just thought, I can't do this anymore. I just need to get this done. Which I did regret when I was laying on the sofa, feeling rather sorry for myself weaving in ends. But it was joy, and I had all the little pieces ready to go, and putting it together and seeing it come to life, and then weaving in all those ends so it went from kind of straggly looking to really, really polished. I'm really proud of that. This is actually the second honeycomb blanket I've made. I made one, it wasn't with this pattern, and it was about 3 years ago. I think I did it in Lion Brand yarn, in Aran weight. I'm sure it was quite a heavy weight yarn, and I remember when it was finished, it looked really nice, but I wasn't so happy with the drape and kind of the feel of it. It has got a lot of love by my friend's little girl, and I think they have used it more as like a play mat than as a blanket because it was so sturdy. And I'm really, really happy that I found a different pattern on this occasion, because I do think this pattern is superior, and it just looked so, so lovely. And because it's quite tactile on top, I think they do make quite nice play mats. So I kind of imagine them being used like outside on a sunny day, just to lay on the grass, and that has been gifted, and Katie did love it. So she loved that and the pumpkin hat, which I'm very pleased about, because that really was a bit of a labour of love, because I did leave it very, very late to get started. My crafting mojo was fairly low in the run-up to my operation, and there was a lot of like, you've just got to get this done. And I am glad that I had something to work on, because it gave me a real focus when I was potentially worrying about other things. So yeah, I am very, very happy with the Be My Baby blanket, and I would heartily recommend that pattern. It's so simple and the result is so effective. I think the pattern is something like just one A4 page, but it's the result is just stunning. So yeah, my time off, I managed to finish 2 existing WIPs and start and finish 2 more, which I think is pretty good going, particularly because for definitely the first day and most of the second, first day I didn't do anything, I just slept, and the second day I kept falling asleep, and I wasn't feeling my best, so I'm quite proud of that finishing streak there. I technically only have 1 WIP to show you, but I don't have that many WIPs, so I thought I'd pull them all out and show you, because these are kind of going to be things I'm working on going forward. So the official WIP, you can probably guess, is socks. And I've got a lot of yarn in here, so bear with me. This is the West Yorkshire, I can never say that, West Yorkshire Spinners signature 4-ply in the nutmeg colourway, and this is what I'm using for contrast cuffs, heels and toes. And this is also West Yorkshire Spinners signature 4-ply, and this is in the mallard colourway. And it's Rich's sock. That is what I am currently kind of actively working on. I think I'd only done a little bit of the leg last time in last episode, and obviously now I've put in a heel, which is my first contrast heel, and I'm making a start on the gusset decreases. I really, really love West Yorkshire Spinners, as you will see, spoiler alert. I really like it. It's such a sturdy yarn. I think they're really pretty colours. I really enjoy working with it. I find that they go really quickly just because they've got this beautiful stripe pattern. However, Rich does have significantly larger feet than I do, so they are a lot slower than when I make them for myself. But I don't feel too worried about running out of yarn. I mean, I've almost finished this sock. I've only kind of got to finish the gusset decreases and then the foot and then the toe, and I don't think I'm going to have to worry about running out of yarn. So I could potentially do a pair for myself or as a gift. So I really, really love how generous their balls are. I'm really happy with this. The nutmeg will probably go into rotation as regular contrast, because I'm not a big fan of plain socks. Even my commercial socks have something on them. I've got lots of butterflies with flowers, I've got Harry Potter socks. I just like a jazzy sock. So I am unlikely to knit myself like an orangey pair, but I do think it makes a really nice contrast. So yeah, I'm hoping to get this finished fairly soon and then get the other one cast on immediately, because I just think it's really, really important to get the second one cast on, because otherwise I will cast something else on instead. I have 2 garment WIPs, and of course this is the Pavement by Vera Valimaki. It is knit in Stranded Dye Works in her, I know it as the Oasis base, but I know she's changed her names. But the yarn previously known as the Oasis base in her Industrial Kingfisher colourway. Last time you saw this, I was here. I'd finished the body, I've done all of the short rows at the bottom for the hem, and I just need to put the arms in. That's literally all I need to do. I felt a little bit intimidated by that. I've never picked up and knit an arm in the round, so I doubted my ability to do it very well. And to be honest, picking up for the arms on the baby vertebrae, I think it took me 4 attempts on the first one, and I figured out a way that I was happy with, and then I only had to do it once on the second sleeve, I think. I don't remember having to pull the second sleeve out and do it twice. Maybe I did it twice, but I managed to get it done, and I'm quite happy with the finish on it. This is significantly larger, and it's also fingering weight, which I feel would be a little less forgiving. So I think I'm going to find myself a good video tutorial and just follow that and get the sleeve started. Purely because it needs to be finished. It's getting a bit silly now, it just needs to be finished. The thing that occurred to me when I was knitting the baby vertebrae was, if this was a full-size cardigan, this would be kind of annoying, because I would be have a whole cardigan in my lap that I was turning while doing the sleeves, and then I would, you know, have the whole body and a sleeve to do when I did the second one. So I'm thinking that in future, what I will do potentially is separate for the sleeves, do 1 inch or 2 of the body, and then put that on waste yarn and then do the sleeves, because I wonder if that would be easier than doing the body and then the sleeves, because yes, you'd still have like the top half and the sleeves to turn, but because the body's bigger, you wouldn't be turning it so much. Maybe you could pull the sleeves in and like tuck them inside, I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to see how I get on putting the sleeves on a full-sized jumper and see what I think for my next one. Now here is one that you probably don't even remember me casting on, because it was so long ago. I think it was in March. It was when I was between jobs and I was just casting things on with just gay abandon. This is living in my single strand Harry Potter bag. It's got Dumbledore's army on the front, which I love. And it is the Kerrytown pullover by Annie Lupton. And I am knitting this in Willow and Lark Ramble, and I believe this is the Oxblood colourway. And this is how much I have done so far. So I've done maybe 10 rows of the cable and all the ribbing. And looking at it, I think I may even need to check the sizing. It will definitely fit, but I don't want it to be too tight. This is one that I struggled with it purely because there are so many charts to follow, and it was not therefore something I could carry around, take to work, take when we went on holiday or anything like that. So it's very much an at-home project, so I just need to figure out the best way of working it, really. And I have been very devil-may-care, because I have taken the needles off of this and I have not put stoppers on. Wow. I mean, that was a lot of trust that I had there. So yeah, that is something I'm hoping to get working on a lot more, particularly because it just feels like a very autumny winter jumper, and I'd really love to have it. I'm not going to have it for this Christmas, I'm going to be really honest, but I'm hoping to have it for next Christmas. I don't know, I feel like there's something about cables that just feels very autumn to me, kind of autumn winter. It's cables. I don't want to wear cables in the summer. I think it's because they're quite squishy and textured. It just feels like, it feels cozier. Now the last 2 projects, you can probably guess, these are my very big ongoing projects that I don't expect to be finished for a very long time. But the first one is my Cozy Memories blanket, which is here. I have 4 rows complete, and I just need to weave in the ends of the top row, and then they're pretty much complete, those 4 rows. The reason I want to get this out again is, apart from the fact that I have a huge number of minis, I have when I sent my gifts to Katie, the blanket and the hat, I also included her advent calendar, because Katie, Amy and I are doing an advent calendar swap as we did last year, which was so much fun. So I send 12 to Katie and 12 to Amy, and I receive 12 each from them. And they go in here. They go in my Cozy Memories blanket, which pretty much guarantees that if I do nothing else, it will grow by 24 squares every year. And I really want to get on it. I want to make sure that, I'm working on this quite regularly, and I'd like to get a few more squares on this before I start the Advent ones. I really enjoy working on it. I'm hoping one day it will be finished. But at the moment, I'm quite happy to have it as like a seasonal project that I bring out kind of once, maybe twice a year. And of course, all those minis, and I never use them all up. I use very little in my Cozy Memories blanket, which means there's always enough for my magic ball. You may remember that I made a huge magic ball for my crochet memories blanket, which is, it's not very big at the moment. It's quite long, but it's not very big. There we go. That's how kind of wide? No, wide is that way. This is how kind of deep it is at the moment. And this is just a load of leftovers, lots and lots of my leftovers from my advent calendar, what I didn't use up in the Cozy Memories blanket. So I'm looking to get a start on this. I'd really like to finish up the magic ball that I've currently got, which is significantly large. It was a lot larger when I made it, but that's still quite a beast, a fingering weight. So I'd like to get that finished before Advent. And probably what I will do is I will focus on getting the Advent yarns into this one, and I will probably spend January getting them into my Cozy Crochet. Cozy Memories, Cozy Crochet. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm working on, or what I'm hoping to pick up very shortly. I feel really good about having a small number of WIPs. It feels a lot more doable than having a lot. I think a few months ago I had over 10 and I worked quite hard at getting that down. I think one simple garment near completion, one complicated garment just started, a sock and some blankets feels good. It feels really good. I was very, very lucky, and a couple of my lovely online friends sent me some sock knitting needles because I needed a few. I've only got one pair, and now I have more than one, which means I can have a sock for Rich and a sock for me on the go at the same time, which is awesome because mine go a lot quicker, and I think that having ones that go a bit quicker would be quite a nice thing to have alongside Rich's, which take a little bit longer. And I also want to take part in Amy of the Stranded podcast's festive sock-along. Now this started on the 1st of October. I have yet to cast on a festive sock, but you may recall these purchases from earlier this year. I picked this up from Wild and Woolly when I went with Rachel of the Crafty Historian podcast, and I picked this up at Fibre East. And this comes with a red for some contrast heels and toes. As I said earlier, I love West Yorkshire spinners. This is Hollyberry, this is Candy Cane, and obviously comes with a nice red for the contrast heels and toes, which I will probably use on this one as well. I think I've got enough, but I do have a red ball of West Yorkshire spinners. I believe it's cayenne pepper. But yeah, so these are potentials for my cast on. However, the night before my surgery, I realised that I had not bought myself a present. You know, I'm going into hospital and I was going to be kind of out of action for a couple of weeks, and I didn't have a present for myself. Like, what was I thinking? So while in bed, the beauty of having a smartphone, I ordered myself a little treat. Now earlier on the Sunday, the day before I went into hospital, a friend came over and we watched Paddington together and we were knitting, and she was knitting with this. This is this year's West Yorkshire Spinners Christmas colourway. I believe it's called Fairy Lights, but it doesn't actually say on the ball band, which is a bit frustrating. But this is their kind of Christmas colourway for 2018, and I love it. Hollyberry is very traditional. Candy cane has very traditional colours in a bit more kind of modern put up. This is like the Christmas of my childhood. This is a tin of roses or Quality Street. This is all the bright coloured Christmas decorations, and it just makes me so happy. I bought this bright blue, which I think is blueberry, I'm not sure, to do contrasts, heels, toes and cuffs, because I just think it will be so pretty. And I don't think I'm going to go as big as Amy, who is knitting Christmas socks for every day in the run up to Christmas, so Advent socks, I guess. So there's going to be 25, but I have 3. So I could do a pair of Christmas Eve socks, Christmas Day socks, and Boxing Day socks. And I'm definitely not going to finish all 3 before Christmas. I'll give it a go, but I'm probably not going to manage it. But yeah, I'm definitely really keen to cast this one on in particular for the festive sock along. It just makes me so happy and I love it. And what I love about West Yorkshire Spinners, not sponsored by the way, it does sound like this podcast is sponsored by them. It's not. What I love about it is I don't have a huge yarn budget. I buy like treat skeins when I can, and I buy sweater quantities when I have a project in mind for it. But unfortunately I just don't have the budget to kind of buy everything that I want. One day, that is the goal. But West Yorkshire Spinners is affordable, and I know that it will knit up lovely, and it doesn't matter if it sits in my stash for a little while. So I always kind of go for West Yorkshire Spinners when I'm in a new shop. Or when I need a little treat or a little boost, which is why I picked up a skein of it when I was at Fibre East. That being said, I did treat myself a little bit when I went to Tribe Yarns in Richmond with Katie and Amy and Ellie of Skein Deer. We had a little trip out together, we got some food, and it was really lovely despite being a bit of a grisly, rainy day. Frustratingly, before I moved to Portsmouth, where this podcast started, I worked in Richmond. I worked there for about 5 years. It's absolutely beautiful. There are so many lovely shops there. I used to run so many errands on my lunch break. It was great. Like I could pop out and like do all my shopping and not have to do it after work, which was fantastic. And then in the summer, I would go down by the river to knit, or just go for a walk, or sit in the park. And it was beautiful. Did they have a yarn shop? No. Have they opened one now? Like, what is this, 2 years after I've left? Yes, and it is a beautiful little yarn shop. It's very small, but it is absolutely crammed full of beautiful yarn, and I spotted this and I had to have it. This is Manos del Uruguay, which I have probably mangled, and I'm so sorry, and it's the Allegria, which is superwash merino and polyamide. And this is in the Malvin colourway, which is A7105, if that helps. And I love this. This is my colours, the kind of jewel tones, the bright blues. Ugh, I kept picking it up, and it is quite expensive. And it did kind of blow my treats budget for the month, like 2 days in, but I accepted that. I also accepted that I wasn't going to be able to go out for like 2 weeks minimum, so I didn't need a massive treat budget this month, so I treated myself. And Amy has actually knit this colour before, so she was able to show me what it knits up like, and I loved it. And I think this is so kind of magical, and it reminds me of like Dumbledore and astronomy class, and it just screams Hogwarts and magic and mystery to me. So I think this is going to be my first pair of Hermione's everyday socks. I think it has to be. And these are going to be my ridiculously luxury socks for whenever I need a cheerful boost. So there you go. It was kind of a chunky whipped up today. Lots of faux, lots of whips, lots of plans, and a couple of little additions to my stash. I'm about to go on to Knit and Natter, and I just wanted to say I will be talking about what I got up to during my recovery, and I will be touching very, very lightly on my surgery and how I felt. The reason I say that is because I know that if it's non-knitting, some people aren't that interested, and that's totally fine, and I will see you next episode. Thank you so much for watching so far. And I also wanted to mention that because if you are somebody who is waiting for your own operation, or someone you love is, or if you're having any investigations to find out what's going on, maybe this is not what you want to hear. It's all very positive. As you can see, I'm fine, but I know that sometimes if you're already worrying about it, you don't want to hear any more about it, which I totally understand. So with that being said, let's move on to knit and natter. So as I said, as you can see, I'm totally fine. I am almost 2 weeks exactly since I had my operation. I went in on Monday the 15th, and today is Saturday something. I don't even know what date it is. This is the problem when you don't go to work. It's very hard to keep track of what day it is, let alone what the date is. So sorry about that, but it's been almost 2 weeks. I was very lucky and I went in first, so I wasn't kind of hanging around all day not being able to eat, and I wasn't sat in the hospital too long. It was a very quick turnaround. I was home about lunchtime. I was pretty out of it, so I can't guarantee that, but I do remember it being around lunchtime. And Rich made me a little nest on the sofa, and I pretty much slept most of Monday. I was not in a great deal of pain, to be honest. I have quite a high pain threshold, so I was fine. I just mostly felt really uncomfortable, a little bit sore, and just so tired. I really, really struggled to kind of concentrate. I mean, I've got a book that's only about that thick, a really, really good book that one of my colleagues gave me to read while I was off sick, and I was able to manage like a couple of pages at a time before I needed a little nap. I still haven't finished it, so that's kind of on my to-do list for this weekend because it's really good. It's Agent Zigzag by Ben McIntyre, if you're interested. And yeah, I really struggled with the lack of energy. And I know that was totally just my body going, just sleep, let me do my job, let me heal up. But I am somebody, I don't know if you've noticed, who is always busy. So I'm either at work, or I'm at the gym, or I'm out, or I'm doing. I'm always doing, possibly to my detriment. And I really struggled with the fact that I couldn't do anything. So I'd be at home and Rich would be at work, and I couldn't do laundry. And it just felt really depressing because I was like, well, like I'm here and I can't even be of any use, which I really struggled with that. And this week I went back to work. I didn't go into the office, I was working from home Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I had booked off Wednesday a few months ago now. Tuesday I managed to get myself to the doctors and back with no incident, which was very good. And on Wednesday I went with my lovely friend Paolo to go and see Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban at the Royal Albert Hall. So I saw it in concert. And so far I've seen Philosopher's Stone, Chamber of Secrets and Prisoner. So I'm hoping to see them all there. It's a fantastic experience, and it was really, really great just to get out of the house. And obviously I forgot it was half term, so the trains were quite busy, which was not great because towards the end of the day when I was coming home, I did feel quite tired, and I literally came home, took my shoes off, lay on the bed and just fell asleep for an hour or two. But it seriously boosted my mood. Like, I just felt so happy because I'd managed to get out of the house, I'd managed to like go somewhere and do something fun, and I just felt great. And then yesterday I managed to work all day, do some cleaning around the flat, and just generally felt more like me. And I've also struggled quite a lot with the fact that I can't exercise at the moment. I exercise fairly regularly, partly because of a couple of health things that I have. I'm asthmatic, I'm hypermobile, and I find that cardio and Pilates really, really helps those things, so they're not too much of a problem for me. They are very mild, by the way, and I have checked with my doctor that I'm doing the right thing, so just to caveat that. So I really struggled with that. I really struggled with the fact that the surgeon told me I couldn't do anything for 4 to 6 weeks. But actually being more active and going out, I have felt a lot better about that. I felt more able to handle that. And I am planning in 2 weeks' time, which will be 4 weeks out from my surgery, to start doing some really gentle yoga, some very, very low level Pilates again, just to see how my body feels. And then I'll probably wait till the 6th week before I start thinking about running again. And I'll probably have to start at the beginning of my training schedule. I would probably have lost a lot of my fitness, and to be honest, it would probably be a lot easier on my body to start at the bottom and build back up. Which is a little bit like, because I'd worked really hard and I was able to like do 7 miles and I was gunning for that 10 miles. But yeah, I'm just trying to accept, and I will get there again and it will be fine. But one of the big things with me is I always try to look on the bright side, and I did really, really struggle with the fact that I couldn't move about too much, just because my natural state is to be moving quite a lot. I tend to do a lot and then flop for a day. And flopping for more than a day I found really tricky. But I was incredibly lucky. I got to have a whole week off work. I got to work from home. I'm incredibly lucky with where I work that I'm able to do that. And I got to enjoy some fantastic viewing. So I watched all the Bridget Jones, including Bridget Jones' Baby, which I'd never seen before, and it's so much better than the second film because that second film is terrible. I managed to watch all of The White Princess, starring Jodie Comer, who you may know from Killing Eve, also excellent. I watched a load of documentaries, I caught up on Queer Eye, I made sure I was fully up to date with RuPaul. Yeah, I watched a lot of stuff. I then caught up on a bunch of podcasts. I have watched all 4 of the first episodes from Caroline, who is Done to Knit, and her podcast is Knitting Vicariously. It is excellent. Just a warning, she is a bit sweary, which I personally don't mind because in day-to-day life I am a little bit too, but just in case you don't like that. But I would highly recommend it. It is great. And I am pretty much up to date on my podcasts. You know, I listen to a lot of Rex Factor, so I'm getting there with the Scottish Kings and Queens. I have, fully caught up on my reading and listening to Harry Potter and the Sacred Text. I'm on top with the Knitmore Girls. I'm really on it when it comes to media consumption. And I have to say, not so much video podcasts, but in the first few days, audio podcasts were a real boon, because I could just kind of lay there and stare into the middle distance and just listen to them and let them kind of wash over me. And it was only a couple of days later that I felt up to really focusing on watching things. So yeah, I've had as good a recovery as I could hope for. I have been to the doctors and I'm healing up fine, and I feel really good. If I overdo it, I get a little bit sore, but on the whole, I think I'm going to be okay when I get back to work on Monday. And between you and I am so keen to get back to work, so keen. I felt really good working from home. Like mentally, it made me feel really back to my old self. But we're quite a small team, and I know that a lot goes on in the office and gets talked about and discussed and decided, and then hits email, and I was kind of only getting emails and a few phone calls a day, and I did miss being involved in that kind of really fast moving stuff. So I'm really looking forward to getting back to that, and I'm potentially going to take in some cookies because I will just be so happy to be back. I'm like, take baked goods, please. This is how happy I am. So yeah, I am feeling good. I am very, very glad that I went to the GP all those months ago and got this sorted, because I'm really looking forward to, not having any symptoms to worry about and being able to get on with things, really. So yeah, that is pretty much it for today. I definitely could have done a Here Be spoilers and just listed everything that I have watched in the last 2 weeks, and we would be here all night. So rest assured, I will probably do a Here Be Spoilers at some point in the next couple of episodes, because I would like to talk about the book I've been reading, and a couple of the series that I watched were really, really good, and I'd like to talk about them in a bit more detail. But in the meantime, I wish you a lovely week or so until I see you again, and I will see you very soon for another cup of tea. Take care, bye.